Okay, awesome. Well, our next segment features our power couple. And they're going to talk about how to keep the spice in your relationship. Let me see if you're man. Okay, good. I haven't been able to meet the man. I'm really excited. Look, at two men in a row. I'm happy. What's that?
The man with the legend.
Yeah, exactly. So, good. So with no further ado, please welcome Spicy Mari and Che Wow, I'm assuming.
Che Wah. It's pronounced Che Wah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are the Wahs, but I go by Spicy Mari. So
I like wow though.
I know. Wow.
We should just be spicy and wow.
Right? I'll take that. I'll take that.
Can we brand that?
You can brand it, and I will sign off now. And over to both of you to tell us about how to keep the spice in our relationships.
Okay, beautiful. We're excited to have this conversation. So, hi, you guys. Thank you for having us. I'm super excited about this event, Fuel Your Fire. The Spicy Life is the company that we both run. We are that power couple. I am Spicy Mari, relationship expert and magnetic matchmaker. And this is my amazing husband. He's the co-founder of the Spicy Life. And today we're talking about how to spice your life, especially even after quarantine. And while we're in it, how do we do it, right? How do we get the fuel, that flame burning?
Without all the alcohol.
Right. We're going to give you the sober approach, even though alcohol does help. One thing that we always do when it comes to working with clients that come to me for my 90-day program is teach them 5 phases, which are the main ingredients to having a healthy and successful relationship. These 5 things that you need also keep the spice in your relationship. So S is for self, right? This is who are you, what do you want, and what do you have to offer your partner? Essentially, what that looks like is you doing a lot of self-discovery work, going within, and having conversations with your partner about what they love. What do we need to work on? What are some of the things that, bother you that I do? What are my annoying habits? Here are some of the things that I want you to work on. What I like to call it when we're doing self in our relationship is called a SWOT analysis, right? Just like how you would do it for business, you're going to do that for your relationship. So you're going to ask your partner, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities for improvement? Like, babe, what do you want me to work on? What can I be doing more? Do I need to put less salt in the chicken? Like, tell me what I need to be doing.
It was a long list.
And then last but not least, what are the threats, right? So if I don't improve upon this thing, if I can't work on my time management and I'm always late, what's going to happen if I continue to run behind on date night? So you want to have these conversations with them and really give them honest feedback, especially now when we're up underneath each other. Before and prior to COVID, we had crazy busy schedules, as we still do, but he was traveling a lot. So now that we're under the same roof 24/7, we have to have these open, honest conversations about like how we're showing up and what we need from one another. But it really takes you looking within and taking accountability about how you can show up better for your partner. And it may not always be sexy, every single thing that you hear, because they may give you feedback like, oh, I wish you would wear more lingerie. Or it may look like, I wish you would help me around the house more. Not everything is going to be this like spicy response, but what makes it spicy is that you're constantly working on self. So that's the first one. That's the first spicy tip. We're giving you the SWOT analysis. Okay. That's your first spicy tip to do with your partner. The P in spicy stands for passion. This is like the fun that you guys get to have together. This is what passions bring you joy, what brings you self-growth, and then what do you get to teach your partner through your growth, right? So what contributes to passion in a relationship is one, growth through mate involvement, and then also arousal. Sexual arousal comes even more when your partner consistently sees you working on yourself and doing the activities that you love, the things that you enjoy. I'm extremely passionate, of course, about relationships, but I also show up passionate about hiking, and my husband's super passionate about working out. We both know that we love to do these activities, and we give each other space to do our activities separate and then also come back and do them with one another. And I have my own hobbies that I enjoy. You have a ton that you enjoy.
Absolutely.
We go out with our friends. We have nights out where we're just like, okay, we're taking a break from one another. You're on vacation, solo without me.
Yeah, but the important part is making sure you have those shared interests, which is a theme for passion, is shared interest.
Yeah, that's the most important part, is like, it's great to have your own, but you want to come back with your partner and say, okay, I had my ladies' night, you had your fellas' night. Now this weekend we get to do this with each other. So my spicy tip for you guys when it comes to really focusing on what your passions are is like, even if you've lost your passions, make sure that you get reacclimated to them again. Why don't you play the violin anymore? Why don't you paint anymore? And so that was one of the things that I had noticed, like, dang, I haven't painted in forever. I'm going to throw us a sip and paint. So my spicy tip to you guys is create a calendar of fun activities that you can be doing while we're in quarantine. Maybe it's picnics, maybe it's hiking, maybe it's like the sip and paint. Maybe you guys are going bike riding. Whatever those fun activities are, start a shared calendar between you guys that will bring back that passion in the relationship. And it'll be more exciting and you'll have something to look forward to. Like, ooh, next week on Friday, we're going to go do X, Y, and Z. So that's a great way to incorporate the shared interests. But don't forget, it's very important to have your own because you also want to come back and teach them something new. The next part of keeping the relationship spicy is the I for intimacy. This is the fun part. This is the part where there's 4 elements. There's recreational intimacy, which is similar to what I just shared with you about passion, where there's shared activities. But then there's also intellectual intimacy. There's emotional intimacy, and then there's physical intimacy. And that's the one that we're all pretty familiar with, that we really, really enjoy. But when it comes to keeping things spicy in the relationship and bringing that fire back, you want to make sure that you also connect on a deeper level emotionally. So what that looks like is you guys sharing information about each other, right? You're sharing a story. Let's just make it simple. You're sharing a story, and then you're inquiring with your partner, have they ever experienced something like that before? And then you're responding in an engaging way.
Being able to be vulnerable.
Being vulnerable, right? Like that's the money right there. And for my, ladies married to the alpha fellas, you're gonna have to sometimes like pull that out of them. My husband, I like to call him a brute. Because he is like a super guy's guy. I will pull him away from like doing housework and construction work and like building stuff around the house all day long, because I have my emotional connection that I need. I need my affection with physical intimacy, but I also need that intimate connection when it comes to emotions. And I need him to let me know what's going on in his head. But he may not necessarily just come straight out and say that. I'm going to have to share with him what's going on in mine, inquire about what's going on in his, and then respond in a way that shows care and love and affirmation to him so that he feels comfortable continuing to share. So that's my spicy tip for intimacy right there. But we're going to get even a little bit spicier when it comes to the intimacy, because physical is always an easy way to go when it comes to intimacy in the household. So I like to play games. Right now during quarantine, a way to spice up the relationship is to play hide and go get it. Okay. In your adolescence, you call this hide and seek. I call it hide and go get it because it's a little bit more seductive. You're going to hide around the house. Hopefully, if you have kids, they're not there or they're at grandma's.
It's an adult game.
But you're going to hide around the house. And as soon as you find them, an article of clothing comes off. And then it becomes their turn and then they have to find you. So every time you guys find each other, an article of clothing comes off. So this is just like a fun, spicy activity that costs you nothing. And you get to have a good time and play with your lover again. So another part of SPICY is the C, communication. This is one that my husband is like amazing with, even though he lets me talk.
We all have our strength.
He's really good about making sure that the communication that we have is open, that we both schedule time for one another to do our check-ins, to make sure that we're both good and that we're on the same page, but also making sure that we both sit in our masculine and feminine energy and that there's a proper balance between the two. So I can't always feel or be in the leadership role, in the leadership position 24/7. Every now and then I need to play VP, which is still a leadership position, but it doesn't always have to look like I'm dominating. And vice versa. He doesn't always have to dominate. We're taking turns in our leadership positions of getting our needs met. And what that looks like is healthy dialogue and communication. And it doesn't look like us being defensive when we share with one another. It doesn't look like us always having to rebuttal. You're really great about when we're communicating. Sometimes you give me that tough love and problem solve. And then
a lot of times.
A lot of times. Okay. He is problem solving for me a lot. Because I probably come to him with like 10 things that I need today. But other times he's just comforting me. So like knowing what your partner needs at that given moment really comes from researching and actually studying them, how they respond to certain things, what kind of space they need. Do they need space or do they need you to smother them with love in that moment? And it really requires you to pay attention when it comes to communication and not always having to sometimes problem solve and sometimes just being like that comfort. I think you're amazing with it. And also you're really great with accountability as well. When your partner does come to you with a problem that you may be doing, instead of always having a rebuttal or being defensive, communicating and taking accountability for that, he's great with holding me accountable and being like, hey, you don't always have to clap back. You don't always have to have a rebuttal. You could just say, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And it's a mirrored behavior that we've learned to do in the relationship. So one of my spicy tips for you guys is the spicy tip jar. This is my absolute favorite. If you have complaints or you have problems in the relationship, you want to get a fun little jar and start writing down some of the things that you want your partner to work on. Because you may be someone who doesn't always want to like feel like you're nagging. Write these things down in the jar, right? So, babe, I need you to help me around the house more. I need you to work on budgeting. Whatever that thing may be, so it doesn't feel like you're always complaining to your partner, you're going to put it in the jar. But you don't want your partner always pulling things that you're complaining about. You also want to put a fun affirmation in that jar. So you're going to put a negative thing that you want them to work on, an area of improvement, but then you're also going to put a positive thing that you absolutely love about them that they do that's wonderful, so that they can get that affirmation too. And then you're going to write a third thing in there. We're going to go even more fun, because this is how to bring the spice back and get the passion back in your relationship. You're going to put something new and exciting that you guys want to try. Maybe it's sexual, maybe it's spontaneous, maybe it's an activity that you want to do. For adults, you have desires, put that in the spicy tip jar, in addition to the affirmation and in addition to the thing that you want them to work on. So every time, every Friday, you guys go into the jar. You never know what you're going to pull out, but it gives them an opportunity to work on that thing and also have something to look forward to. And then the last part that we're going to do is yes, the why in yes. My husband has learned how to say yes often in the relationship. Hi, Megan.
You have the best laugh, by the way. It actually
sounds
like Jennifer Lopez's laugh.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's a great person to have a laugh like.
I think so. Yes. You can finish it. We're waiting for, I don't think she's on. No, she's not on here. She's coming. She's coming. Why don't you finish what the why is, and then I'll introduce the next person.
Okay, we can talk forever, so just cut us off.
Okay.
I especially, he knows how. But the why is yes, learning to say yes to your partner. It doesn't always look like the perfect scenario. You may not want to always say yes, but sometimes you have to override that emotion for what serves the relationship goal. If the goal is for us to save more and I want to spend, I'm going to have to say yes to him about budgeting. Or if the goal is for us to do more shared activities, one of us is going to have to override the initial, like, no, I don't feel like it, and sometimes sacrifice for your partner.
It's about collaboration and negotiation.
That part. And majority of our successful people like have understood that in business. You want to apply that to the relationship too, but you do it in a loving and caring way. So SPICY is how you bring the spice back. And that yes is going to look sometimes like, and it could be an activity that you guys do, which I call a relationship roadmap. You guys can do a fun relationship goal list and then turn that into a Pinterest board or turn that into a vision board. Us women are really good about making our vision boards, but when you do it with your partner and put the goals in there, so like his would be saving, redoing the bathroom, like we're going to cut that out and put that on the vision board that we share together. And we both get to look at that every single day and be like, okay, check, we're doing this one, we're doing this one. And it gives us goals together to do.
I love that. You know, it's funny. This is not like the positive version, but it is funny. I also run a nonprofit. So I do fundraising events every weekend, usually 2 events a weekend. Like I did one for people in Tokyo this week. And I put my husband on the calendar invite for the event. So he's aware of this event, right? So on Saturday, I was like, this is kind of working the shared calendar invite. Mm-hmm. So on Saturday, I've been really wanting to walk my dog and the baby on Zoo Drive. It's a place in Glendale. Okay. We also really need to do our taxes. So I actually did send him 2 Google Calendars. And he declined both of them. And I was like, why are you declining my Google Calendar invite? So anyways, I think he did. I actually forgot what his legitimate objection was, which is a fundraising term, by the way.
I don't want to do this. That was his objection.
No, I think he had, it's fun. See, this is so bad. I don't even know what he said because I probably was like, I don't know. Maybe he had to go to the doctor or something. I know it wasn't work related, but it was something. It was something legitimate. So, and
did you let him know you were springing a calendar of shared activities on him? Because like he's gonna think it's for work or something. If you're sending that, you got to give your like man a heads up in advance before you start sending it to him, because he's gonna be like, wait, you're putting me on your calendar. I'm not your job. But like, is a way though to like hold each other accountable, to like showing up for one another and getting each other excited. But I love that you tried.
No, I will keep doing it. There was a reason. I'll say the last thing just because we're waiting for the next speaker. Oh, just let her in. Yeah. Basically, we're just talking. We didn't put her in. Our tech girl. She's right here. So one last thing I'll say as we're waiting for Cambria to come on is just to give him props and on a positive note. So we do have a baby and it's 6 months. Yay. He's still getting up twice a night. It's not just not happening. And he does the 11 p.m. to 3 o'clock shift, and I'll do 3 afterwards. So I'm going to leave it on that note that we do work together on that. And thank God I would have no sanity left if he didn't help me. So on that note, thank you so much for being here. And you guys are in LA, so we'll let you know when we're having in-person events, because we definitely want to work with you again. We really like you guys.
Amazing. Thank you for having us. This was a great event.